Hi, folks. This is Mountain Man coming to you from Parts I hope you all are doing well tonight. Well, they caught that guy, or so they say. I was watching the news just like you all probably were. Portuguese national. He offed himself in a storage unit. But is that the rest of the story? I don't know. We're going to find out. Have we got sleeper cells in our country? What did I say last night? I said, man, it's awful fishy with this MIT professor. And 60 miles away, these two young people being slain. One of them, her name was Ella. Her first name, I can't remember her last name, was the chairman of the local Republican Party. Very strange. Well, now they say there's a link. He's a Portuguese national, and I knew this yesterday that the MIT professor who was, I thought he was assassinated early in the morning, yesterday morning, but it was actually 9 p.m. the night before. So anyway, he's a Portuguese, and I don't know. We're going to have to see. I thought it was going to be Abdul. We never got an answer about the witnesses who heard someone screaming, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. And we also saw photographs of a second person who was quite a bit leaner than the portly Portuguese person that they have apparently cornered. And this guy had some skills now as far as swapping out license plates, evading facial recognition, and keeping everybody guessing where he was. Hi, Colette. How you doing? Sissy, nice to see you. Kim, Bill, nice to see you. Sherry, Justin, Miss Mendersu, Fly, Valley. I can't. I got to put both my spectacles on to read that one. I'm sorry, Fly. Alan's here. Gary's here. Ha ha! Chairman of the board. Let's see. All right, who else coming in? Hello, Ann. Oh my goodness! I meant to put. I read y'all's comments on my other live stream. Boy, that was the lowest viewed live stream. That's because I had a weird thumbnail. I didn't have my banner, what do you call this thing, brand picture up, which I'm going to change that brand picture. I just haven't got to it. Yeah, especially when my capabilities have been demolished by nefarious entities. So anyway, so what do y'all think about this situation with this character? Was there another person involved? Where did these Allahu Akbar reports come from? Do you think there is a connection between both those events? The atomic science professor, and the young people that were slain? I thought there were, and now it seems like there is. But that now they're doing the lone wolf homeless guy out of his mind. But who's that other guy? They never said, oh, well, yeah, we found him, and, it turned out to be a dead lead, like they did with the first guy they locked up. No, they haven't gotten any of that yet. Dugan. Her case was, at least to the best of my knowledge, 24 minutes ago, in the hands of a jury that had ordered pizza. And, it's awful slinky what they're doing, I think. Hi, Wayne. How you doing? Todd's here. I'm wondering if anybody put a poison pill or two in the Graybeard. How you doing? In the jury, because they're asking some questions that wouldn't even enter my damn mind. But I'll get into that. I'll get into that. Wouldn't it be something if somebody got caught coaching that jury? All it takes is one wild-eyed harpy, TDS harpy, needs just a little reason to hang their hat. It's an open and shut case, as many people in the chats and the different discussions I was following during the live stream of the trial. You had another judge who was physically standing next to her in the hallway, saying it was an embarrassing, shocking, disappointing behavior. Obvious that her intent was to assist a person evade federal law enforcement. But now they've got these little questions they got to ask. Technicalities, but, we got to get it just right. So they were deliberating 5 hours when everybody thought it would be at least, at the most, an hour and 10 minutes, long enough to chew the pizza. But anyway, Hebrew, how you doing? Bill's here. Nick, yeah, hit the like button. Nico said. Yeah, I appreciate it. Wayne does that too. I bet all y'all do. Everybody that comes in the chat says the like button. And if you're watching after the broadcast, please make sure you hit the like button. Did you see Trump give a little address today from the White House, sitting behind his desk? And, Tucker Carlson caught some heat for going on there with Judge Napolitano saying, I had a congressman tell me Trump is going to tell the nation we're at war with Venezuela tonight. That was last night. And you know what? You can look at it a number of ways. I think it was building anticipation. People love drama. They love, if someone were to say Trump's going to address tonight, he's going to talk about tariffs and how much he's lowered medicine costs, nobody would tune in. So I'll give Tucker a benefit of the doubt. I'm not going to jump on a bandwagon saying stuff about him because, hey, it got a lot more eyeballs on the screen, and people need to realize that their lives in the near future are going to have a drastic change for the good. It's called the golden age. Okay. And not many people would have tuned in if that was going to be a message, because everybody's like, I believe it when I see it. It's just another politician making promises. Blah, blah, blah. So you get this, oh, gosh, is it going to be war? What's Trump going to announce? So, and as I said, Trump has to twist the mainstream media's arm to get time for the American people to hear what he has to say, because they don't report what he has to say. And if they do, they twist it. They edit his words. They take people with Marxist views to come on right after he speaks to throw rocks at him. Yeah, you got to do what you got to do to get the word out. And so today, one of a number of things he talked about. He took medical marijuana itself, not just medical marijuana, and made it a Schedule III drug, like Tylenol, like codeine, I think it was. Just your whatever drug, because it has medical benefits, as a lot of people know. I don't smoke it, but a lot of people do, and they have been for 50 years. But we've had this facade of we have a war on drugs and pot is bad. A judge, I've told you, and the judge sitting there walking 3 feet off the ground, half smoked up on some real good stuff, but acting like he's down with the war on pot. So, yeah, cops, judges, politicians. So it was just a facade, a joke. Quit playing games and regulated properly. And so anyway, -10, sissy, my goodness. Yeah, it's building anticipation. People are like, oh, well, what are we going to, it's obvious that there's going to be some cash benefit, high flannel cheese heading people's way. Good news is what he's putting out. Things that the mainstream media, and he's also setting the record straight on the horrific behaviors of the cabal that ran the Biden puppet show. So anyway, what percentage of Americans today are thinking, it's about time that a politician was honest about marijuana and just quit playing games, quit acting holier than thou, quit using it for a way to take people's property, confiscate stuff from them, and act like they're addicts that belong in a facility, and just cool it. And actually do research now that will be available to more institutions as to medical benefits and many other things they can do now that the stigma has been removed from it, instead of saying, oh my gosh, we got to get federal approval before we can do a study on a bag of dried weed. So millions and millions of Americans are going to appreciate that Trump is using just what he said, common sense, and behaving, having the government behave, not Trump behave in a more honest way. Trump's always been upfront with stuff, but having the government behave in a more honest way. So I thought that was good. And he told his party plans for the coming year. And I was reading some other people putting up posts, and y'all know I read Clandestine, among others, and exactly what I was thinking. Exactly what many of you have talked about in the chats. Something needs to happen between now and the 4th of July. Because the 4th of July, 2026, is going to be a big celebration of what? 250 years? Well, not really. Knock about 100 off there after they passed the 16th Amendment, where they could skin us alive and pluck our feathers and steal our money and abuse the funds and devalue our currency and keep us on a hamster wheel. So, no, we haven't had independence and liberty for 250 years. If we throw off the shackles, of the deep state, the cabal, whatever people want to call it, the principalities, old world Europe, the ways of the principalities of the old world, we throw them off just like we did in 1776. No, you don't. It's none of your damn business what I do, how much I got, what I did, what I hide under my mattress. None of your damn business. King George, goodbye. And like I said 2 days ago, was the anniversary. 1773 was the Boston Tea Party. They got pissed off over a tax on tea. There was no personal income tax back then. There was none of this insanity that they're doing now. And a tax on tea was enough to get them to do what they did and spark a revolution. A desperate 8-year war, as our friend Andrew Branca often says. Where if the founding fathers would have lost, they'd have all been hanged. They risked their lives and their sacred honor for way less abuses than carnage is what Trump called it. Carnage. And the carnage stops now. So, are we going to have, 250-year anniversary? Okay. Well, whoopee, or is it going to be something happen? These abuses that are going on with the courts, the abuses that have occurred with us as a nation and a political force watching our leader have his house raided, him having to pose for mug shots. These coordinated operations with the intent to jail for life political opponents and destroy the lives of everyday citizens that they disagree with. Will we see them be destroyed? Will that be what we get to celebrate July 4th? Well, what do we have going on? We have National Guard placed in strategic places. We have years-long analysis of these voting patterns. I'm sure the intricate web of criminality has been mapped out. As I said before his speech and before other events, I don't want to get people sitting on the edge of the chair. I wouldn't want to get people to go down to Dealey Plaza waiting for JFK Jr. and, like hundreds of people did. I'm not going to do stuff like that. But I am, in the 4 years I've been broadcasting, I feel that if something big is going to happen, I concur with my friends in the chats and the other people that I follow their opinions, that something like that, the ripe time for it to happen would be between now and May. Have time to let the dust settle so that we can truly have a celebration of our freedom. We can experience retribution or be in the process of retribution and then be able to celebrate our 250th anniversary with even more glee. So that's what I'm leaning towards. We got to get things squared away before the midterms. We can't go through another election playing these damn games with dirty voter rolls, tens of thousands of unauthorized residents, I'll say, casting ballots. We can't continue with that. They did another raid up in Minnesota, and this was a bunch of Somalis. And they had a SNAP program, the SNAP program. They had scams, of course, revolving around that. including but not limited to using Snap to stock their little grocery stores that they start. Like some of them on the corner of a street, they don't even have a business license or report anything. Oh, but they're contributing to society. So we got these thousands, is what it's going to be, of individuals that are going to be up on felony charges. Many of them are going to be just shipped right the hell out of here, like they should be. But many of them are going to sing. They're going to sing. And that is all going to add to the intricate web when it's time to drop the hammer. Do I think it's going to happen before next year? Is the shutdown, which I've talked about because it's happened numerous times. Shutdown, what's going to happen? Shutdown. Well, it's one coming up January 30th. Is that going to be when Trump drops the hammer? Nukes the filibuster? Or with this warrior dividend, was that a signal? The 1776 checks. It may be done in phases, you know. Washington crossed the Delaware Christmas. We talked about that last night. And he wiped out the Hessians. So is something going to happen on Christmas to set the table? Well, I think that we have got so many criminals dead to rights. It's just a matter of timing of execution of the operation. The multiple operations, I think it's going to be done in phases. Give the public time to digest. Hi, Debbie. Hi, Brett. Rolling. How you doing, Roland? Keep those doggies rolling. Brush, how you doing? Yes, we are close, aren't we? Oh, boy. So anyway, there's going to be events. There's going to be, the words I can't say, but I'll say them, false flag. I just say it that one time. Don't put it in the chats without altering it. We're going to have to deal with those. But there are going to be events. Okay? Horrible events. We've been witnessing horrible events. We can go down the list of innocent Americans losing their lives, being maimed for life. Like that young girl that got acid poured on her head. The case we were talking about when I first came live. Answer your door at 9 o'clock at night, and there's a mad man with a gun. Then they go down to a university. And there's too many questions about this university business, about this MIT professor, about this individual who expired himself this evening. How did he stay on the run for so long? How did he know how to avoid the cameras? Swapping license plates. Who was that second person they said was a person of interest? They didn't have 800 cameras on that campus. They had 1,200. How did they know how to evade those cameras? Well, the discussion now is They didn't have to evade the cameras, is what some people are saying. Because the administration allegedly ordered many of the cameras to be disabled. 1,200 cameras is a lot of damn cameras. Why did they order them to be disabled? I'll tell you why. I see if anybody in the chats knows. Why would administration of Brown University order cameras to be disabled? Does anybody know? I know. I know what's being alleged. Hi, Sherry. Oh, good. Trading peanut butter cookie recipes. Yeah, not worried about stuff beyond our control. We can track it, but Bill, our responsibility is to have a cogent understanding of what's happening so that we can help people who may freak out. Not the daily freakouts, the TDS harpies and the weirdos. You know, they're going to constantly stay in a freaked out state. But I'm talking about people that didn't even know they had a dog in the fight. All of a sudden, seeing there's a fight. So the reason they, that police chief is obnoxious. Is he the one? Is he the one that said, Jesus Christ, when he was born in a stable because he was not welcome like immigrants? Didn't he say that, or was it another nitwit? It was some chief of police, dimwit, that compared Jesus to an immigrant that wasn't welcome. That's why he was in a barn. And I didn't get a chance to goggle it, but I heard that Time magazine is putting a picture of baby Jesus in zip-tied handcuffs, like ICE arrested baby Jesus. Did you on the cover? Is that true? That's horrible. If any of those idiots would take the time to read the Bible with a clean heart, with a questioning mind, with a curious mind, with a desire to understand the Word of God, rather than what they can twist to their desires, they would know that Mary and Joseph were showing up for a census. They traveled to be counted in the census. And there was no room at the inn. It didn't have a daggone thing to do with them being unwanted immigrants. And it's heresy to make an image of Jesus put in zip ties. Especially when your purpose is to import people in this country to destroy our culture and weaken our laws and to take the bread off of people's tables and to increase your political power. It's heresy. But did you all hear that? Time magazine is putting a picture of baby Jesus up with zip ties around his wrists. Right at Christmas. I agree. Well, the reason I heard that the cameras weren't working was that the administration didn't want to have any pictures of students because the ones who were not supposed to be in this country would be identified by ICE or the feds and get deported. Or their benefits, namely a student loan that they'll never repay, that the government guarantees the government will give the college outrageous fees for somebody that shouldn't be in this country, that will never pay back their loan. And then you, me, and everybody else is stuck with that fraudulent loan. The scope and the breadth of the fraud is, as I said many times, is going to be staggering. From college loans right down to SNAP benefits and anything else you can even think of. So that's why the cameras weren't working, according to some sources. I believe it. I believe it. If the government contributes funding to that college for their security, which you know they do. Oh, we need a $10 million grant to up our security. We'll put the cameras up. Well, the government has the right to say, well, let's see what security, how things going there at college. And no, we can't. Let's take the cameras we took the money from the federal government to install and disable them. It's insane. It's beyond clown world. But I heard that the meeting, group meeting, conference, or whatever that Ella and the other fellow that lost his life were attending, was not like a monthly event or weekly event that somebody could track. It was a specially called meeting with not very much notice, maybe several days, but not something that was broadly advertised or, hey, in the spring, we're going to have this meeting, or in the fall, we're going to have this meeting. Then now you're in a summer. No, it wasn't anything like that. It was impromptu. So how the hell did he know about the meeting, where they'd be, which building to be at? It's a sprawling campus. You would have to realize it's a sprawling campus if they had 1,200 damn cameras. How did they know that meeting was going to be held? He popped himself off up in New Hampshire, right, in the storage unit. So how do you know what they said he was living in? That may or may not be true. It may be one of his, what they call, air quotes, safe houses. You know, safe house could be a log in the woods. And it could be an apartment nobody knows you renting, you know. So how do you get that kind of information? How did he get his timing down? How did he know where there were cameras, how to not really be identified? And you got one, which I think is the one that died tonight. Roly-poly, 5'8", looked like he was Pillsbury Doughboy, you know, probably about 220, you know, with big old belly. And then the other one looked taller and a normal build rather than a blob. So I don't know. But we'd be fools to not have our antennas up for something international. Oh, here it goes with the conspiracy theories again. A nuclear professor getting taken out. Have they done other things? How many people lost their lives? 3 at least. The 2 students and this professor. Now, saying that he's Portuguese doesn't mean anything about his beliefs. It doesn't preclude him from hollering Allahu Akbar. For crying out loud, in the 1960s, Muhammad Ali was a Muslim. His former name was Cassius Clay. So, no, I'm not going to say, well, he couldn't have been a jihadist because he was from Portugal. You'd have to have rocks in your head to limit your thoughts that way. So I'm still leaning towards a Iran connection because they work with other countries. They finance anybody that they trust to disrupt. They got a list. They use them out of Lebanon. They use them out of course, Palestine, Syria, Yemen. They're all over the UK, all over many countries. They're all over this country. They say this guy had a permanent residency card. I thought they were going to say green card, but permanent residency. Well, that's not a citizen, and that's something that can be revoked. So who granted him the permanent residency card? When did they grant it to him? What kind of requirements do you have to meet to be allowed a permanent residence card? Living in a damn storage unit? Swapping out license plates? Did he have any meaningful employment? Who the hell was this person? How many of them are out there? Well, he had to have something good going for him. He got permanent residency. What are you talking about? Ilhan Omar is a citizen and a member of the House of Representatives. And she's not worth a rat's behind. It's coming out about her that when she came to this country, her name wasn't Omar. That's not her real name. They have an idea of her real name. And the people that brought her over weren't her parents. It was fraudulent. And yes, she did marry her brother to get him fraudulent citizenship. So, yeah, they pull every string. They get politicians to step up for them and pull strings. And next thing you know, God knows how many of these whack jobs we got out there. Maduro admitted that Biden requested Tren de Aragua to come over. You think they're just running around and they don't know each other? They're not organized. They don't have a plan. Of course, they've had plans for coordinated burglaries, robberies, frauds. But what about when it's time to go on the offense? They estimate 100,000 Venezuelans of males of military age in this country. You think even if 10% of them were true believers of Maduro and had instructions to conduct offensive operations in this country on a certain signal, that'd be 10,000. If it was only 10%. Hi, Mac. How you doing? Pappy, nice to see you. So, hi, Nick. Is the White Hat's waiting for them to start a move? These pronouncements about land strikes in Venezuela, the embargo that was announced, totally surrounding Venezuela with, as Trump said, the biggest armada in history. Is that for them to get provoked? Unfraudulent people. Ha ha ha. That's a good term. Well, I do have good news. The person who wrested that gun away from the father-son Al-Akbars, his name was Ahmed Al-Ahmed. Remember? He was a Lebanese Christian guy that took the gun away. Somebody set him up a GoFundMe page, and he got $2.5 million from people all around the world. And he said, I deserve that, like a question mark. It wasn't him saying, he wasn't like a SNAP recipient, I deserve that. No, he was like, I deserve that. And they said, yes, you do deserve that. You're a hero. So that's a wonderful little story. And I would like to see somebody, I'm sure, I don't know what this lady is. Maybe she doesn't want her name out there. But did you see the lady that worked for Target getting harassed, cursed, slandered, abused by some, well, I guess I'll use the word I want to use, skank. She posted on, I guess, Instagram or of her berating this elderly woman working at Target pushing a wagon. Did you see that? Excuse me, I have a cup of coffee. I meant to say a sip of my coffee. That's real good. Anyway, did you see that obnoxious video? And she was, no, Kim, I heard he was I wrote it down, a certain branch of Christianity. Some is particularly in Lebanon, because you got to kind of do something to keep your head from getting cut off. They have a kind of a blend of Christianity, but they do profess some respect for Muhammad, but they accept Christ as their Lord and Savior. Okay. I wrote it down. I don't want to mispronounce it. But I don't have that in front of me right now. So, and Lebanese had a lot of Christians in it. So anyway, wouldn't it be nice if that lady got a GoFundMe set up that took that abuse? She was calling this woman, just saying Charlie Kirk was a racist and you're an a-hole. F you. I mean, just the most foul, disrespectful. I tell you what, if she had any healthy sons that overheard that woman Well, anyway, she put out an apology. What's her name? Michelle Pons. She apologized to the Target lady, wrote out a big long letter. If I could go back in time, what I did, I realize now I had no business doing, blah, blah, blah. They allege that she worked for some medical facility, probably a nurse. I don't know. But you can bet she was of the ilk to laugh and slap her knee when Charlie got it. Disgusting human beings. And, I might talk a little bit more about this. I don't want to beat a dead horse. But Rob Reiner's the same way. He laughed his rear end off when Charlie got it. I don't care what he said. I'll get a copy of that video when he said, "Oh, it was horrible what happened to Charlie Kirk." We're going to do a body language analysis on that because was too much of a hateful, spiteful wretch to have any genuine sorrow for what happened to Charlie Kirk. Hi, Melvina. Merry Christmas to you, sweetheart. The medical company fired her. Well, that's good. And she has no damn business being a nurse. Listen, I have no doubt in my mind that people that were perceived to be older conservatives were abused in nursing homes. And where we saw an example of that Trump showed about the VA. But I'm sure people have gotten subpar care because of these self-righteous animals. And you think people with this mentality, if they would go so far as to put bodily fluids in Nigel Farage's makeup that would go on his face, what do you think they would do to conservatives when they prepare their meals in a hospital or a nursing home? When they have control over them, when they're supposed to be trusted. That's why these people are so damn dangerous. And that's why I am so animated in my rejection of Rob Reiner, because he fosters that kind of viciousness. Him and his ilk. Liberals are sickening. I put that in the comments quite a few times on videos. They say liberals are sickening, and nobody likes you when they respond to me. You're the one that's sickening. I'll say nobody likes you. You're angry, libelous people. Nobody likes you. That's why I call them angry, libelous people. That's what they are. So I would like to see that lady get a GoFundMe, but I don't know. Maybe she wants peace and quiet. She was so sweet and nice. She said, "Well, you have a nice day." No, he wasn't a Nazi. She defended him, and she was courteous and doing her job. So, well, speaking of Nigel Farage, Trump did file suit against the BBC, and this is what's really getting him. $10 billion he filed against the BBC. Day before yesterday it was. I didn't get a chance to report that because I talked about a lot of other stuff. I'm already almost an hour. I barely scratched on the things I want to talk about. But I was saying about Billy Bush reporting about the wife being alive and her being able to communicate to the EMTs in the ambulance that her son, Nick, did that to them. And I said, wow, that's going to be really reported on, because they report on every little detail. They'll do a 20-minute video. We have video of Nick Reiner getting arrested. Click now. You click on it, and for 20 minutes, oh yeah, they talk about the party. They talk about everything we've already heard before, and they show a 4-second clip that you've seen 20 times, and they talk about that 4-second clip of him getting handcuffs while he's on the ground. And then they talk for another 8 minutes, and they got 50, 60,000 views. So one, I saw a video, he got 4 beers after he killed his parents. Well, I watched the video. It was up for like half an hour, and they had like 8 or 10,000 views. Who knows what's got now? Not a very well-known channel. But no, it wasn't after. The timeline has got to be solidified. But yeah, he did go into a convenience store and got himself 4 beers and something else, put in his backpack after he got his hotel room. Oh, so that, that makes a big video, right? Well, he's a drunk and a crack or whatever head, some kind of addictive personality. Who's surprised about that? And so yeah, I thought, oh wow, a lot of people are going to be talking about this. Nobody's talking about it. Nobody's talking about it. Like I said, Billy Bush heavily coordinated with all the networks to put out that locker room talk tape. The first Trump was a juggernaut in the primaries. He was sailing through. Boom, they put this tape out. Trump, and people don't listen to the words Trump said. They listen to the announcers. Donald Trump said he grabbed women by their private parts whenever he wanted. Everybody, every news service coordinated with Billy Bush. So I talked about that last night. What are we going to find out about deeper connections into the J6 production, the phony production, the narrative they set that they all stick to? Where are we going to find a nexus with these criminals? When are we going to see the nexus? I believe the White Hats already have. A majority of the Confederates, conspirators, whatever you want to call them, these subversives, I think they already have it mapped out. And that's why I'm wondering, when is there going to be something big drop? Trump was talking, because he's talking about July 1st is going to be the first party. Then we're going to have Patriot games next year, where he's going to build a triumph arc in D.C. Triumph over what? Maybe his cumulative successes, I don't know. But maybe when we do an offensive operation to triumph. He's going to have a big Flag Day celebration. And of course, the first one is going to be the July 4th. So who knows what's going to happen between now and then? And But something's got to happen, I think. I don't think we can go through a midterms without serious attention to what's going on with our elections. We can't have, that control of the House of Representatives is in the balance, and it's 4 days after the election, and they're still counting ballots in 2 different states, in 5 different counties in each state, and somebody found a box of ballots in a chicken house. We can't go through that crap. It's abuse. I mean, we can't take that kind of abuse. Speaking of abuse, Dugan. I talked about her a little bit at the beginning. Hi, Yvonne. They put forth a very strong case. She had her fellow judge that was in the hallway put the bad finger on her that it was awful what she did. Judges should be in the business of helping criminals escape, or suspects, or whatever you want to call them. And on it went. Her defense today was over by lunch. They took an early lunch. They had 3 people that weren't even, you couldn't even comment on what their testimony was in defense. But then they put up the last person for Judge Dugan, was a popular Democrat who'd been in office, was a mayor of Milwaukee or whatever for years, came in. They say the judge visibly lit up with a big smile when he saw this politician stride in to testify in defense of Hannah Dugan. And then when he gets up there, he just said, I noticed since she was 10 years old, she's a great person. She's never done anything wrong in her life. I think she's wonderful. And everybody smiled and nodded at each other. Yeah. And the government, us, said, well, were you there that day? And he said, no. No more questions. But the point is, he should not have been allowed as a witness. Character references, things that are not germane to the issue before the court, which is whether or not she committed a crime on that day. Character witnesses are reserved traditionally, usually, for sentencing. Why do you think this person should only spend 3 years in jail instead of 10? So anyway, the people announcing about this trial said that was a definite signal to the jury that this was political and that this is a test case to stand up, and the defense attorney even used this type of verbiage, stand up against a deep state, have your voice heard, overreached by the government. That's her defense. When it's plump and plain that she wanted to help that person evade capture. So what happens? The jury is in, and the channel I was watching, I think a lot of people watch it, Fox, something out of Minneapolis, but somewhere. But the jury has come out up with a verdict. Everybody's like, whoa, well, she's guilty. I'm like, my God, it's been less than an hour. Of course, be that quick. As pitiful her defense was and as strong as the case was. Oh, no, it's not a verdict, our mistake. They knocked on the door and they had a question for the judge. Oh, so then you got to wait around. What's the question? What could the question be? So this is what these two questions are what makes me think that somebody is coaching that jury. Because they're technical, nitpicking matters of law that I don't think the average juror would consider to be a factor in the case. The first one was, can we get a copy of ICE's policy in courthouses? And the judge said, yeah, they put that in evidence, so yeah, you can review it. God knows how technical it is or whatever. But the bottom line is ICE's internal policies are not under a state judge or any dopey judge's purview. But they started nitpicking the words. I shall only conduct arrests in the interest of the public safety and in areas that are not accessible to the public if at all feasible. Nitpicking that kind of crap. Like, wait a minute. I don't know a juror that would sit there and think that internal policy of ICE would have anything to do with Dugan, what she did that day. So then they get another knock. They got another question. What's the question? Was Eduardo, whatever his name was, Riviera, whatever his name was, did she know that was his name on the warrant? Everybody's like, what the hell? And the talking heads on the news station were saying, well, the statute does say that in order for her to be guilty, she has to know that the person is the one the agents were trying to arrest. So I don't think she ever saw his name on the warrant. Now, how would a juror come up with that kind of crap? Common sense would tell you she knew who he was because she tried to conceal him. She tried to get him out the door. He was the only one in her courtroom that gave the appearance of a person who didn't belong in this country. Common sense. But somehow, they got somebody on the jury that gets into this weeds to put up little thin straws they can grab at for reasonable doubt. Well, maybe Judge Dugan didn't think she was helping the person on the warrant because she never read the name on the warrant. I put in the comments, she didn't think it was Eduardo. Who did she think it was? Ricky Ricardo? And then showing my age, somebody in the comments said, who's Ricky Ricardo? Most of you all know who Ricky Ricardo is. Babaloo. Lucy, you got some splaining to do. You too, Judge Dugan. But anyway, of course she knew who in the hell it was. So that And another question related to a technical thing about the warrant and her knowledge of who she was. She may have been helping him go out the back door. I don't know. What would your reasoning be, other than she's the one he thought they were after? So anyway, that's where it was left at. Has anybody heard any news on Dugan? Did the jury retire for the evening without convicting? She got 2 charges against her. Hi, Joker. Yeah, all you need is one dipwit. That's right. Did she? Yeah, free Tina, right? Did they retire for the evening, or did they come up? Some people were saying they were going to come up with a split decision, finding her guilty of the misdemeanor and letting her off on the federal charge. But my point is, an average juror would not normally come up with that kind of minutia without some kind of coaching, without some poison pills being dropped. I don't know about that, Greg. Oh, Wayne came up. Let me read it. Let me see. A jury on Thursday found Milwaukee County Judge Hannah Dugan guilty of a federal felony charge. Did you verify that? Well, I'm sure you wouldn't have put it up there. Wait a minute. Let me see. Here we go. I'll put it on the board. Boom. There. Can y'all see it? A jury on Thursday found Milwaukee County Judge Hannah Dugan guilty of a federal felony charge that she obstructed or impeded a proceeding before a U.S. department or agency. Well, what did it take them? 6 hours? But you know what? There was one guy, it might have been a lady, saying that they're trying to dot all their I's and cross all their T's, that they know that this is of national importance. And if they address this minutia now, it will reduce her ability to have a successful appeal. If the jury just went in there for an hour and said, she's guilty, and walked out, then she could appeal. I never saw the name on the warrant. And whatever the other argument was, I can't remember. Getting late, and I'm old. I'm an old man. What was the other one? ICE policy. They violated their own policy, and that wasn't something the jury considered. And they never showed me his name. I was sending him out the back door because I thought they had a flat tire and the car was on the other side of the courtroom. I didn't want them to walk too far. Who knows what the hell they came up with. Thank you, Wayne. I appreciate that. Oh, what was Gary saying earlier? Put your hands in the air. So good. Good. That is something we can celebrate. Oh, see if there's any other updates. Okay. Oh, T-Sply put that up. Ah, yeah, that's a good source. He's a good source. I watch his videos. Ha ha ha. I don't know what the hell that elbows up means anyway. So that is a victory. What are they going to go to sentencing next? They're going to go to sentencing next. You know, and the clerk, I think it was the clerk or some functionary in that courthouse, sat there and told the jury that when he saw the ICE agents, he called them fascists. Can you imagine an employee of the court throwing out a slur like that at law enforcement and still having a damn job? I think his ass needs to be brought before some ethics or professional services board or something. And, well, you know, if it was me, if I was a cop that was getting abused like that, I'd make some kind of official complaint to somebody. You know, I was worried because of the nullification videos that were being pushed by YouTube. That's exactly what I was thinking. So, and then again, it could have been somebody putting a poison pill in there, somebody coaching the jury, and they got wind that they were going to get their heads cracked and backed off, or that their excuses were so weak, the other 11 people weren't buying it. They probably felt they could have felt, I would have sat there like a cinder block and said, I'm not moving. I don't care if we sit here and sing Jingle Bells Christmas Day. I'm not moving till we have justice done here. It's too big of a case to be sitting there worrying about, well, what's ICE's policy? I'm not going to sit here, eat cold pizza and go through all this crap just because some TDS harpy. Acquitting her for a misdemeanor count tied to concealing an individual from discovery and arrest. Really? I wonder how they thought it was going to be the other way around, that she'd be guilty on the misdemeanor and innocent on the felony. Maybe they got some card up their sleeve at the federal level. They're going to get some Boasberg type judge on the federal level, because I think they had 3 judges. They had the chief judge. They had the, did somebody's comment just disappear? But anyway, none of them seemed to like Hannah Dugan. Okay? So appealing the misdemeanor might have been a problem for her. And with the federal court, they can sit there and do an appeal and shop around. Well, no, it would go to the appeals court itself, wouldn't it? State level. Does she have a friend on the appeals court at the state level? Because they usually show it to like one judge of a 5-judge panel or 6-judge panel. One judge looks at it and says, oh, okay, nah, we don't want to, so who knows? They got all kinds of damn tricks up their sleeves. Have you all been watching Scott Adams? I meant to mention him yesterday. I watched his live stream yesterday and I watched it today. I feel bad for him. Everybody does. Remember he asked Trump for help getting that treatment for his prostate cancer, and Trump had Dr. Oz contact Scott Adams, said, I'm on it. We're going to get you, do what we can for you. And anyway, so Scott Adams has a tumor that's gotten to the point so bad that he can't even walk. And he is broadcasting live streams from his bed, from his hospital bed. And today, he had it a little bit yesterday, but today was kind of bad. He has a cough, and probably from the effects of the treatment, and he's building up a lot of mucus that's kind of feels like it's hung in your throat. So you do a kind of like a little barking sound, a bark, to try to clear it. And so it interrupts his broadcast. He does the best he can. So if y'all get a chance, maybe give him some encouragement and some comments and prayers in the chats. I'm sure he enjoys that. And he was talking about Reiner too. And he's exactly at where I'm at with it. And he said, where was Reiner when I got canceled? When they destroyed my career? I think he said, I think he's part of the problem of the group that singled me out to destroy me. Why would I say nice things about him? I'm sorry it happened to him, but he was not a good person. So, I don't feel so bad now. I didn't want that to happen to him or his wife. It's horrible. But unlike Rob Reiner, when I say it's horrible, I feel like it was horrible. You can't say that about Rob Reiner when he's talking about misfortune happening to a Christian. At least in my opinion. So give Scott Adams a watch, or go to one of his earlier videos and give him a little message of support. That means a lot. I talked about Carroll O'Connor and his hunt for this person that was selling his son drugs. And I believe he got somebody charged over that. Somebody said they saw David Spade at Reiner's house. I know they saw Billy Crystal. But all that stuff together made me think of something. David Spade was good friends with Chris Farley. Chris Farley died of an overdose. Remember that? And John Belushi died of an overdose. In both those cases, because they were big stars, right? They found out who gave them the drugs, and they prosecuted those people. David Spade was right in the mix there, right? Knew Chris Farley and everything. Now you see him wandering around up here the Reiner house. I'm sure he was at Conan O'Brien's Christmas party. My point is, when you have crimes like this serious murder because of drugs, everybody said was wired up, was in a meth rage, some suspect. somebody's ass needs to go to jail. And it ain't going to be hard to find out who the person was or persons. And another question I had was about this Conan O'Brien party. They say it's legendary. It's huge. Every year, Christmas party, Conan O'Brien's. You think that place was clean? Or do you think it was loaded with hard drugs? Coke, meth, ecstasy, fentanyl, whatever the designer stuff for that they're into. You think hundreds of A-list celebrities are going to get together and stand around with their pinky sticking out, drinking wine or champagne? And God knows what else was going on up there. But as far as I'm concerned, it's part of the scene of a crime. And if they could track down Carol O'Connor's son's provider, they could track down Belushi's situation and Chris Farley's situation. Somebody needs to look into what the hell's going on with this kid, especially when it started when he was 14 years old. They need to bust up that culture of celebrity where they can do what the hell they want. Look what Diddy's gotten away with for years. No need to go into the Epstein situation. But it's all debauchery and hard drugs. And young people being corrupted and violated. Do you think there were any underage people there? But, oh, no, wait a minute. We're all supposed to feel sorry and be respectful. I say bullshit. I say kick rear ends, take names, and find out what the hell's going on with these people. Rob got passed around at a young age. Some people say that, yeah. Hi, Larry. Media said he stopped taking his psych meds. He had shark eyes, whacked out eyeballs 10 years ago when he was doing his interviews with his father. There was something wrong. He was on some kind of psychotropic drugs and plus hard drugs back then. When somebody goes into rehab for the first time around their 15th birthday, there was criminal negligence, there was outright criminality that never got addressed back then. Not making excuses for the guy. But God knows when it started, at least when he was 14. So anyway, it's terrible. But how can you have this ongoing hard drug use, all this discussions about abuse, all the proof of abuse with Epstein, a client list where no clients go to jail? How long can this crap go on? Where the president of the United States comes out and says, we have all the proof, we have all the ammunition that our election was stolen in 2020. The most powerful nation on the face of the earth. That the citizens of this country had their control of their government fraudulently taken from them, on top of all the stuff I just mentioned, And we go day after day, week after week, month after month, and nobody's ass goes to jail. How long are we going to put it? And how are we going to have a big celebration in an Arc de Triomphe in D.C. with all this debauchery and felonious crap happening day in and day out? Warner Brothers rejected Paramount's offer and is leaning toward Netflix with an inferior offer. How does that happen? You know, Trump said that these news agencies need to be properly licensed and pay a big fee. Maybe that hammer will drop. Because since when does the President of the United States have to beg for 25 minutes or whatever of screen time a year almost into his presidency? Since when does he have to put his hat in his hand and beg news services to show what he wants to tell the American people? And they don't pay a damn dime for that licensing fee, and they make hundreds of millions. And it's our airwaves. And then they use it to beat us over the head with illegal psychological warfare campaigns and divide our families and friends. Since when does Trump have to go to them like a beggar and possibly even have adverse psychology, as my old friend used to say, and have Tucker Carlson say, I think he's going to declare war, to get people to tune in? And Netflix has, you all know, the criminal element that's on the board are going to have a monopoly with Warner Brothers. Don't we have antitrust laws? Maybe that'll kick in. Maybe if there's some sweetheart deals being cut at the SEC, Security Exchange Commission, or at the FCC, people pulling strings to help this cabal get total control over our media so they can warp a message. Well, maybe this rejection of a superior offer will trigger some action that's going to be substantial and lasting. Okay? Let's hope. But anyway, we'll have to analyze this Dugan. Man, I went the whole way. And, have you all noticed that there was no commercials during my broadcast? You didn't have to stop and look at your phone and say, where's the skip button? Or put down something you were carrying and dig in your pocket, pull your phone out and say, hey, where? That's because it's a totally viewer-supported channel. Ha ha ha! I rely on my viewers to support the channel through Buy Me a Coffee. And Roland was the last one to go by there. I thank you, Roland. And Wayne and Norm and Mike and Beth. Miss Menderson and Ann. I do appreciate your help this week. And I put a link in the description if anybody wants to help out. Boy, I tell you, that's when people bug out of the broadcast. When I bring up one time, Buy Me a Coffee, dip, everybody dips out. But anyway, it's going to be interesting to see what happens with this Warner Brothers thing. And I do want to bring up about RFK banning funding for hospitals that do that transgender surgeries to minor children. Everybody, yay! Why in the hell aren't they putting people in jail over that? Mutilating kids. But I guess we'll take what we can get. And who knows, that may be coming in the future. Just because he's banning funding doesn't mean that relieves them of any criminal behaviors. Okay? And I keep that in mind too. But, I mean, you have people like, what's this woman? Becca Blaint. Becca Blaint. Have you all heard that name? Blaint. She's in the House of Representatives, and she gave a speech saying that these types of operations on underage people are a good thing. And another individual, I believe in the Senate, another woman, I think I wrote her name down somewhere, is filing articles of impeachment against RFK. These people are sick. These people are evil. There's no other term for it. What do you call that? People that push to do that. He calls it sex rejection surgery, is what RFK called it. Since they like their plays on the words, it's gender affirmation surgery. Gender affirmation. You weirdo. You ignorant, sick weirdo. No, it's a rejection of the child's sex. You shouldn't be allowed to do that to any child. I can't believe that somebody's ass isn't going to jail over that. You know, I have said that ASS word many times as broadcast. I'm sorry. But I ended up, just before I went live, I was reading about this woman, Becca Blaint, claiming that it was good to do that to children, and there was no verdict on Dugan. So I had a little bit of smoke coming out of my ears when I started the broadcast. So anyway, my apologies, folks, and I'll try to clean it up a little bit. But anyway, let's see what's going on in the chat. Yeah, child abuse. Yeah, Randy's going to watch the replay. Yeah, I appreciate it, folks. But anyway, don't forget to give me a thumbs up. If you're not subscribed, go ahead and subscribe. And for my new subscribers, don't forget I have a portfolio of hundreds and hundreds of videos that you can enjoy commercial free. So what do I always say? I say thank you for spending your precious time with me. I should be going live tomorrow night. I got my fingers crossed if everything goes okay. Let's keep our head on a swivel. Buckle up. Be ready for anything. See something, say something. Okay, folks? So you all have a great night. I'll be seeing you soon. This is Mountain Man. Over and out.